I'm currently a freshman in high school, and my high school has programs, so I go for law and justice. I wanted to be a lawyer. However, I started taking physics as a freshman, and my passion for science really just took off. It took off when I watched Interstellar. I was really fascinated by space and extraterrestrial life and all these different planets and gravity. I think it was a little bit into it. I was like, wait, I'm not sure if I want to be the one on the ground and learning about this. I want to be up there. I want to be in space. I want to be Cooper in Interstellar. I want to be in the sky. So I Googled, hey, can type 1 diabetics be astronauts? And, there I got the answer, and it was, no. It was just a blatant no on Google. That was probably one of the worst moments of my life. It felt very soul-crushing, and knowing that that's been taken away without much choice really hurt.
Bela, my firstborn, was diagnosed on February 27, 2021.
When Bela was first diagnosed, there was, I think, a feeling of helplessness, of shock, of sadness. With type 1 diabetes, it's a chronic condition. It's a lifelong condition that has to be managed, and there's no days off from it.
Bela's diagnosis came as a complete surprise. Looking back, she was a poster child of all the symptoms you would expect for a child who would have type 1 diabetes.
She had started to get more and more fatigued.
One day she came home from school and just couldn't get out of bed, just slept. And that's not Bela. To be completely spent was not her.
The nurse called us up and said, you really need to take a look at this and maybe let her see your doctor.
I got a call from our endo on a Saturday saying, we got the results, you might want to take Bela to the pediatric emergency room at a nearby hospital.
Her blood sugar should have been probably anywhere around 100 to 120 maybe. And this was 400, which was obviously almost 3 to 3.5 times as much.
I, in all honesty, don't remember it because of how sick I was. I just remember being surrounded by doctors, so I was very scared, overwhelmed. I didn't understand. It was very traumatic.
After a couple of days when they came back, they had all this stuff on the kitchen table lined up, from needles, alcohol pads, they had Dexcoms and CGMs and everything, and I'm like, whoa.
I think it was 3 weeks after my diagnosis, and my parents sit me down and they're like, there's a clinical trial, and you qualify for it, and we want to know how you feel about it. And I think I was genuinely fascinated because I just wanted to be a normal kid again. I just wanted to be able to eat whatever I want. I just wanted to be normal.
My wife had gone on to clinicaltrials.gov and was looking at research.
I found 2 trials that were relevant to us, and the second trial, which was at CHOP in Philadelphia. And it was important to be part of that for 2 reasons. One is it allowed us to really understand the disease, but more importantly, one hopes that as a participant you benefit from the trial. And lastly, you want to be part of something that makes a difference in not only your life, but life of this community.
The more we can do to raise awareness of these clinical trials, I know it's, we hear it every time. It's very overwhelming. It is very overwhelming. But I think for those who are open to it, giving families the knowledge so they can empower themselves to see other treatments, whether they're experimental, whether it's standard of cares, I think that all makes a big difference.
In our culture, food is our love language.
Since meals play such a big part in our Indian culture, is how do we kind of adjust our meals and how do we prepare to make sure that Bela can still eat the foods that she wants to eat. I'm very proud. Our food is very tasty and it has all sorts of ingredients and spices, and nothing is measured exactly.
JDRF was instrumental in connecting us with other Indian families when it came to questions about, cultural sensitivities around food and such.
I am surrounded by connections that I've made through JDRF, but at my own school, I'm like the only kid with type 1. My diet besties, I love them. I have a group chat with them. We follow each other on Dexcom. So always sending reminders like, hey, your blood sugar is high, make sure you correct, or hey, you're low, make sure you eat. It's very cute. I love them a lot, and they've been diagnosed for much longer than I have. It's just having that ability to just be like, I need help, and then someone actually being able to answer that question.
When we left the hospital, we got a folder with all this information about JDRF. And I think within a week of coming home, we got an email, we got a call from JDRF, and that started a dialogue that continues today and will continue.
And I think what made JDRF such a huge difference in our lives was really having Bela know that she's not alone in this condition. You could just hear in her voice just a sense of relief that there are others that are going through this who've been able to live a normal life, and they're not letting type 1 define them. And I think, Bela, to her credit, has really embraced that. If you look at all the activities she's in the competitive regattas, crew practices, she's part of debate clubs, she leads Taekwondo classes for younger students, herself being a black belt.
What I started to really focus on was the positives. I was meeting amazing people. It really affected the way I view science, and I think that this really just fueled my passion for wanting to do more in research.
With the amount of money that people are donating to JDRF, it'll help scientists to figure out the cure.
My dreams are to really make a difference, try to reach out to people who are younger than me, who are new with this, and just kind of validate what they're going through as someone who knows what that feels like.
We left the hospital with a CGM on Bela. In 6 weeks, she had an insulin pump with an algorithm, and if it wasn't for visionaries in JDRF and researchers and clinicians, we would not have left with that technology. So it makes a difference, and we're living proof that this investment makes a difference.
It's pretty eye-opening to see ideas that were kind of maybe written on a piece of paper turning into something that's a reality, that's now in an algorithm, that's now in a pump or a device that's helping patients manage their type 1 diabetes. And I think that all comes from one source, which was JDRF support, which I think makes a huge difference.